Hello. I thought I should come on here and just say something. So I'm going to try to tell you a little bit about me, since most people don't know me. They probably don't know who I am. I am God's anointed, believe it or not. And I'm the one that's been going through all the hard times because of the family members, ex-friends, and whatnot, who thought it was okay to mess with God's chosen, you know. And I really feel sad for that because, I mean, He doesn't play about me. And so I know they must be going through it. I was born back in 1957 as a twin. But there was something different about me. You know, I got to be the black sheep, the one who, I don't know, a lot of times I could just be forgotten in the family, or I could just, I'd catch all kinds of hell if I did something wrong. A lot more hell than anybody else, you know. But, you know, I mean, there were times I wasn't in trouble, you know, but then there were times that I was always in trouble. But the thing that stands out the most, because I hear these stories, you know, they're talking about how I was not from this family, but you know, I don't believe that. I mean, as far as I know, that I don't think that ever happened. I don't know, you know. I remember as a toddler, you know, I always believed from the get-go. I knew, I didn't believe it, I knew it. I knew there was a God. I knew that there were goddesses and people that would come to me and as if they wanted to just to look in on me. But you know, I went in the Marine Corps. I came back. Didn't get much support from the family coming out of there. I mean, those were some hard times, really, as I was young and still figuring out how how life would go, you know. Trying to find out what I was good at, you know. I went to college and all that stuff, but didn't get to go for what I wanted to go for, you know. The Veterans Administration had other ideas, which they were wrong. But through my life, I learned a lot. Well, anyway, in this age, maybe seven years ago or so, I was living in this very place, you know. I got woke up. I knew that something had occurred that caused me to awaken spiritually, and I knew it. I felt it. So one night I'm sitting here in a chair right over there and fell asleep watching TV, and I was woke up by, it seemed like someone called to me, you know, and I woke up and I don't know, I knew who it was. I just knew. I said, I'm here. It's God, you know. So, that's where this story starts, you know. Uh, so I said, I'm here. He said, I want you to do something. I said, anything, you know, whatever you ask me to do, I'll do it. You're God, you know. Uh, he said, I want you to go on a journey with me. I said, okay. You know, and I didn't know what a journey meant. You know, I thought maybe it meant getting on a boat or getting on a train and going down the road somewhere. I didn't know what he meant. But I know that up until this moment, I was beginning to wonder if God was even real, believe it or not. And I know that there are a lot of you out there who probably think the same way. Well, let me assure you, he's real. And he's got ideas that we need to start taking it in our hand, you know, and start doing. Anyway, but the first thing is he said, so listen, I have to go now, and I have to go talk to your partner. I said, my partner? He said, yes. I asked, who is that? He said, Ruth. And I knew Ruth, you know. Ruth and I had talked a lot, you know. You know, we used to chat up and stuff like on the phone, you know. We hadn't seen much of each other in person, I think, a couple times. I liked her. I thought she liked me. But, you know, some things would change in that regard because the minute this happened, it was like that whole dynamic changed. So I said, okay, and I went back to sleep. Now I woke up that morning and I thought to myself, did that really happen? You know? No, I said, no, it happened. I know it happened. That was as physical to me as anything in this world. What I saw, what happened, and so I called Ruth and I asked her, "Did you get a visit last night?" She said, "Yes." I said, "And?" She said, I didn't want to go and on a journey. I didn't want to change. So now that I'm starting to realize this journey is going to be something of a spiritual nature, and it's to get us changed in some way. You know, that he hadn't told me that all yet. But what he did tell me, and this one thing he told me was about the thing that this was all it took. This was all it took for me. I said, and why me? Whenever he asked, and he asked me, I said, why me? He said, because I love you, and I placed something in you before you were born, and we need to get you ready to do something with that. I said, all right. Okay, and he went on his way. Okay, so I said, why wouldn't you want to go to Ruth? I told Ruth this. Why wouldn't you want to do this with God? I mean, it's God, you know. I mean, you know, we make such a fuss about people who are famous and whatnot. My gosh. Speaking a universe into existence tops Elon Musk. You know what I mean? I mean, there's nobody in the universe more famous than God. And if he's not famous to you, you better start thinking of him as a famous guy. You know what I mean? Because this guy owns the whole universe. And that's reality, you know. I mean, he can give and he can take away, and there ain't nothing you can do about it. Now, he's not the kind of God that's sitting around waiting to, hey, you do this or else, and touches your finger and you drop dead. No, he's not that. The fact is that he came back the next day. I think it was the next day or the day after that. And he was like, I could see him sitting down like at a throne or something. You know, and I started to realize I'm looking at this man in a spirit, you know. He had hair about as long as mine. He had a face that was like this, you know. He was he was a little shorter than I was, you know. He was dressed in a red smock. I couldn't see the bottom half of him. I remember that. But he had a breastplate on, like something out of the Roman days. You know what I mean? You know how the armies had those helmets and those breastplates. He had that. So it suffices to say, God will war, and He's a warring God. You know. And especially when it comes to people like me who are chosen, He don't play about us, and He will go to war behind us. And His children. Now, who are His children? We're not all His children. You know, I think God knows already who are going to be His children, and who I think you call it the elect. He's got His light workers out there who now are I believe, are getting all into the earth now and being here at this particular time. And if I had to guess from the things I've learned and seen, that we don't have a whole lot of time before some event's going to happen. Okay, I don't know exactly what those things will be. I've heard things, but I do know this much: this message I had has to get out. Okay, now this Ruth, to go back to that. I told her, I said, you know that if you do something that God asked you to do, you know God's going to bless you big for it. Why wouldn't you want to do this? Now, she was supposed to be, okay, I always tell people this. To me, it looks like, you know, there was an Adam and a Lilith at first. And Adam and Lilith didn't get along. And, you know, it was destined at that time for this first woman, to be subordinate to Adam. But Lilith wasn't going for that, you know. She said, nope, I ain't having it. I want to be on top. I mean, basically. And I don't know, they didn't like, she not like Alice, you know, Adam, and I can relate to that, you know. I mean, you know, some people just don't match, you know what I mean? But okay, so then God decided to take. She said God's name 3 times and became a demon. And yeah, she's still around. She's still floating around. And listen. Hold on a minute. Okay. Okay. Anyway, but that doesn't mean God doesn't love her. You know, I mean, she's she is one of his first. You know what I mean? And listen, I'm a very ancient soul. Okay. And let me explain how that works, because a lot of people out there will say to you, I don't believe in reincarnation, but guess what? Your soul is, what is it when you're going to live forever? It's your soul's forever unless God decides to destroy it. You know what I mean? But it comes out of your body once you die. Your body, and you hear people talk about, I was in the in the hospital, and I guess I died, and I was rising up higher than them, and I was watching myself being worked on by them. Well, that's probably true. That's probably true, because your soul will go on when you pass. So don't get yourself ready for just, going back to sleep. People who think that, well, that might happen for you. And that's not a place I want to go to. But I have seen with my own eyes, in my third eye, for those people who don't understand what that is, that's when you can see into the spirit, okay? And God gave me some heavy gifts, and I tell you what, I see things in the spirit. But I had a grandmother, okay, who was a big elder in the Church of Christ, and this woman lived for that church, okay. And I've always thought of her as holy, as a very holy being. Now, when I was chosen, it wasn't just God's choice, you see, and that's just the way this works. Your ancestors who are on the other side of the veil, there's a veil that veils us from, heaven and whatnot, the different realms. And sometimes they get very thin. Around Halloween, they'll get very thin. And the reason why you make a lantern is to keep the evil spirits from coming around. Go figure that one. But there are evil spirits, there are angels, and they're in a vibration and in a realm which we can't actually see. Some people sometimes can see it, but for me, I know that right now the ancestors are probably sitting here along with some angels, because I'm very, very protected, and it takes them to protect me. Now, anyway, about my grandmother, okay? Whenever they chose me, I didn't know anything about being this ancient soul. People have told me before, I think you're an old soul, stuff like that. And I figured they're probably right. I'm going to stop this.
Hey.
Buddy, you got my card.
You what?
You got my card.
I got it.
Yeah, you got it.
Good.
Cigarettes, buddy. We need some cigarettes.
Huh?
We need some smokes.
Okay.
Unless you got it, Pat.
Hey, give me one of 20.
Okay. No more talking. Okay.
I'm gonna get her to.
I'm on.
Okay.
All right. That's my best friend there. Anyway. Stop that. Hush that dog down.
Got lights now.
Okay, cool.
Got lights now. Hurry up, though. Where you at?
I'm making a video.
I got an alcohol.
Hey, shh.
Oh.
If you're going to be here, you got to be real quiet. Really. Okay.
I'll take my shoe, man.
Yeah, go upstairs if you want to.
What? Look inside.
Okay. Okay. All right. Silly people. Anyway, here we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, go ahead. Anyway, so where was I? So about the spirit and the spiritual realm and stuff, and your ancestors. You do have ancestors. We all do. Okay, and so when someone comes back, and I don't know if you've heard this, that some of us are here to take away the curses that come down on your lineage, and that's lineage. That's all the way back, okay? And from the beginning of your lineage, I myself remember when God, He took me to this place. And this is in preparation for who I and what I've got to do, okay? And first, they checked my blood and stuff and my DNA. I remember that. And he said, I said, so, is everything all right? He says, well, you've got a lineage that is, it's royal Egyptian, and you also are in Jesus's lineage, okay? So, go figure that one. So I thought, wow, who knew that? And that's pretty wild, you know what I mean? When you find that out. So anyway, but that doesn't mean that the whole lineage is that. They had things these things were put in me prior to me being put in my mother's womb. Okay. Anyway, so. I mean, he was very, what's the word? He was say, he didn't want to tell me everything. Okay, it's like he only told me what, and just like when you're walking this path, he doesn't tell you the whole thing that you're doing. He says, watch, just take the one step. Okay, that's what you're gonna worry about doing. Don't worry. The steps all the way up that hill or that mountain, whatever you're climbing. You may not be able to see that, but you can see the next step, and that's what you need to worry about. Okay, and so whenever I got instructions from somebody, and he tell him, listen, if you tell him that much, he's gonna want to ask 1,000 things, and that's just the way I am. So he said, just tell him the next step, and that's all he needs to know. And I've gone through this journey with that in mind, okay, and doing that, just that. Now, of course, they'll tell you. Now I'm chosen, and now my family didn't know anything about it either. But I didn't know about it either. But my grandmother knew about it. She knew it. My grandfather knew it because he had to, because they were married, But whenever they chose who's going to be the chosen in this lineage, these people that are already passed on had a lot to say about it, because they know things about you that you yourself or your family that are alive still don't know. You hear? I mean, they stop. Now stop that. So anyway. So anyway, where was I? Okay, so our families that are here still, they find a lot more up there. I say up there. I say on the other side of the veil. Okay, and the other in a place where we can't see right now. I mean, it's not meant for us to see, but is appointed for us all to die once. And providing that we've lived we don't have to live a perfect life, because God lets us live under grace, and I tell you, I didn't know a whole lot about that either. Although I always said I was saved, and a lot of Christians out there will agree that do you really a good Christian? Are you really a Christian? Let me tell you what. Was I? Probably not. Not really. I mean, yes, I believe in God and believe I love God. Okay? But the truth be known, we only believe this much. You know what I mean? And not a whole lot. Goldie, stop that. Okay. Hey, Heinz, take it upstairs. Take it upstairs.
Yeah.
And take her with you because she's going crazy for you.
Get back to you when I do.
Okay. Okay. Sorry again. Sorry. But that's life. Okay, so anyway, I forgot what I was in that one. Let's see, where was I? Darn it. Listen. But anyway, so your ancestors have a lot to say about what goes on with your lineage on the other side, on this side of the veil. They've already ascended to go past there. Now, some of them may come back, because we were explaining this thing where your soul, and believe me, that your soul has a lot to say about this, because let's say you go here and you live let me just say, less than desirable life. Okay? Kind of like you got a bad discharge out of service. You know what I mean? Well, okay. So guess what? Rather than to just pitch you in a lake of fire, okay, and be done with you, you're going to get the opportunity to come back to the earth and live again. And this time you're going to make a contract with God. Okay? And he's going to say, you have to get past this, and this. These are lessons that you have to learn. And you have to pass the test on those lessons before you get to pass on to come be ready to get that life where you're going to live forever. Okay? Because if you don't get there during the time that we have on this planet, or the time we have of the earth, okay? Because the earth is alive too, and it's suffered through karma and whatnot. Then you're going to come back and you're going to suffer your karma. Karma is, karma means lesson. So you're going to do that lesson. You're going to do these lessons, and hopefully you're going to get it right. But before you come back, they're going to wipe your mind, and you're not going to remember. But somehow, just somehow, I don't know how, but somehow it's going to come to you that you need to do these things. That, whether it be your guardian angels, your guides, that you have guides, sometimes it's your lineage people, or sometimes it's it may be an angel, something, or whatever is over there on that side, because I can't tell you everything about it, you know. But I can tell you that we have guides, and they are busy pointing you in the right directions to get those lessons done. Okay? Does that make sense? And you're going to get them done. Now, if you have a good heart and a good soul in you, and not some evil Mr. Hitler kind of thing going on, you know, then you are going to pass those tests, and you're going to go on to the next realm, whatever that is. I don't know. You know, I know that I myself didn't. My soul wasn't done here, and that's why I'm different from everyone here. There's only one like me. That's what God told me. He said, "Well, you're the only one. Your vibration is higher than the normal human." Okay, that's why I'm here. Okay, I'm here to heal the earth, and I'm here to raise the vibration of this world, because it has to be raised in order to be able to bring heaven down on earth. That's going to be my job. That's why I'm here. Okay. That may be seem like a big order, and it is, but believe me, with God and all of it, and He's got legions of angels up there, and your guides, we're going to get it done, you see. And you really want to be part of that. You don't want to be not part of that, because that's an enemy to God. But you want to be part of this, okay? And I am telling you that anyone who wants to be part of that is a child of God. And I say, we've already started the movement. The movement has already begun. And if you don't know about it, well, guess what? You're welcome. Come on in. Come on in and be part of it. Because, you know, when Jesus left, He said, I'm going to give you two. I'm going to take away the 10 commandments, and I'm going to give you just two. Love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now that also denotes that you need to love yourself. Now, if you're out there doing things against yourself, then you have those lessons also to do. To say that you're out there getting drunk all the time. That's not loving yourself, okay? So you got to do something about that, you know? You got to fix that, okay? Because you are not able to love anyone else until you start loving yourself, okay? And so, let's get this done. Let's do that, because that's part of your mission. If you have no other missions on earth, you have a mission to learn to love yourself. I've had to go through a lot, and believe me, it is actually a kind of a hard journey. You cry a lot. You get angry a lot. You know. You spend a lot of time alone. You know, and me more than others, because it's a very high calling that I have. Okay, so I had to spend a lot of time alone. And you know, listen, you don't learn in a classroom, okay? Your classroom is where you're at home or wherever you're at. But your guides are there with you, they're walking with you. You know, your angels and guides are there protecting you. As long as you're doing this thing the way you're supposed to be, they're looking after you.
You pay me for talking your guns off.
There you go.
We'll see all that fun.
You later.
Be careful.
Anyway,
Keep it
So-
for your life. There you go. You won't be on the road long again.
okay, Heinz.
We'll see you later.
Okay, anyway, so now you know that is where you got to go and what you have to be doing if you want to be in this thing. And I guess really, and most of you are, but the first thing you gotta do is gotta accept God, accept Jesus as your Savior, because there's only one. You know, He only gave one guy that job, okay? And thank God, because there'd be a whole lot of them on the cross. Man, you know, there's one guy who did it, and that's Jesus, Son of God. Okay, so you gotta you know, accept that gift, because that's what it is. It's a gift. It's a gift of saving your soul, because, you know, in heaven, and those angels that fell, you know, with Satan, they don't have that right. They don't get that forgiveness. Okay, but He gave it to us because we're in a like a learning pattern down here. Okay, so though we screwed up, we do all the time. You want to work towards you can't work to perfection. Nobody's ever going to get there, but you have to get better. I mean, you have to try your best to do a little better than the next day, than the day before. You know what I mean? You work towards that, and we all do, right? And I'm not perfect, you know. Yeah, I've got a pure heart. Yeah, I love God, and I tend to not like to get angry, you know, but I do sometimes get angry, you know, but I try to keep it, you know, like righteous anger, you know what I mean? I don't just get mad because you get mad, you know, and if you are getting like that, you gotta work on that, you know. But that's what this thing on earth is about, and that's what the journey entails. It's about getting yourself right. And mine was kind of a hard one, because listen, I was not loved much as coming out from as a child. I can tell you that there wasn't a whole lot of love spread my way. But I still believe that there was a God up there who did care about me. You know, well, He proved it, and He proved it. You know, He came down finally, and He proved it. And that, with that, and I'm telling you now that He loves all of us. And in that regard, we are all chosen. Okay, but it's just that some of us have a higher calling to help mankind reach this goal of passing on to the other side, okay, and getting heaven down here on earth, because that's what's intended. You know, this earth is going through its own getting ready. You know what I mean? They're getting ready for the earth to change, and it is part of it that's not. It's starting to integrate into this old earth to make us be a better earth. Okay, you know, and that's like getting the